So why do you do triage? Number one. Number two is how do you do it, and we'll kind of run through a scenario. How do you do it? And the third is what are some of the case ownerships? What kind of case ownerships do you have in pharmacovigilance? And we're going to go through that. So if you can kind of master these three things or kind of understand these three things, that would be the objective of this module. So that being said, you guys are pretty aware of this picture on the screen. When you guys did the webinar for the very first time, this is what you guys went through it. I gave you an example of COVID vaccine being approved and where you go into the benefit risk profile of the vaccine after it's approved, and the adverse drug reactions that are reported into the pharmacovigilance go through the workflow, go through the workflow of processing the case and getting submitted to regulatory agencies within 7 days or 10 days, 15 days. So we kind of understood the workflow of an individual case safety report, which is ICSR. So once the adverse event is reported to you, what happens is when, let us say, you call the pharmacy or you call the 1-800 number on the label of the drug that you have purchased and you experienced an adverse drug reaction from, you call that number, it will go to probably a call center. It might go to a pharmacovigilance direct department. Sometimes there might be some artificial intelligence algorithms that will direct your phone call to someone to receive that information. They'll ask you questions like, what's your first name? What's your last name? Where did you buy the drug? What drug is it? Which company is it? Okay, now explain or describe your adverse drug reaction or adverse event or side effect that you experienced. Did you go to a hospital? What happened after that? Are you calling for yourself or are you calling for someone else? So these are all basic questions they'll ask you there. As you speak to them and give you the information, they're actually typing everything. Once they kind of go through their questionnaire, they're already trained in obtaining that information from you, and based on the questionnaire they are given. So once they type in that information, they kind of transcribe, that is the word we use, they kind of transcribe it into your company, whichever, if your drug, that drug belongs to your company. Let's say you are working in Pfizer and you are responsible for COVID vaccine. So that COVID vaccine from Pfizer, that report or that PDF will go into your safety inbox. So what do you do, or where do you do triage is in the safety inbox. So this is a very important question that you may be asked in the interview. Where do you do triage? The triage is always done in the safety inbox. So it's pretty much like your Gmail or your email. Just imagine that you have an Outlook, and Outlook is an email server or provider like Gmail, and you will have your safety inbox there. Now, in the safety inbox, basically, you will not be able to delete any emails. You will not be able to archive any emails. You can just read it, unread it, and forward it to anyone in the department of pharmacovigilance or anyone within the company. So you cannot delete anything. And that's how the privileges will be set for you as a user. And you would triage the source document. You basically will open the source document. Source document is the same questionnaire they filled out from the consumer or from the site. If it comes from the site, it will be coming from a clinical trial site. If your product is a clinical trial product, it will come from a clinical trial site. The site coordinator or the site primary investigator, the PI or the sub PI will fill out the questionnaire, and that will be your source document. Source document, the other name of source document is also adverse drug reaction reporting form. So we call it AERP. So we have all this fancy mnemonics, abbreviations for this, but it basically is a reporting form. Adverse event reporting form, SAE reporting form. So any reporting form is a source document. So there are different ways of naming it. So once it comes into your email, let's say you are responsible for triage before the case is registered. So this is where the case registration happens. The case is registered by someone in the call center, but triage happens in this section here. So once the case is registered by the call center or by anyone in your company, before you do data entry, before you kind of go into Argus and try to book in a case, is when triage happens. So the question is, where do you do triage? The triage happens in global safety inbox or safety inbox. Data entry happens in Argus or any safety database, Argus or RSG or anything. Case processing, this is the second point I want you to note. Case processing starts